Hi and welcome back to my channel. My name is Anne-Sophie and this is episode 5 of the Candid Knitting Podcast. So, it's been a while. I kind of lost my voice there for a second and it's still not 100% back, but I hope you can bear with me and yeah, let's get into it. No, before we get into it, I would like to thank you all for the incredible response I got to my last video. There were so many people who entered my giveaway. I was, just incredibly happy to see that. I used a little spin thingy online to pick a winner. I will just post the username of the winner here. Feel free to contact me or DM me on Instagram, and if that's not possible, maybe react to your own comment so I can respond to that and we can see how we can get in touch. Alright, there's a lot to cover. I've been off work, so I've been knitting an immense amount, except for 1 week where I've been working. I had a summer school. Let's get into it. Let's start with what I'm wearing today. This is, I guess, one of my most highly anticipated finished objects. This is my modified BIRKIN Polo, which I wore to the Eras Tour show I attended in Amsterdam. It is it should be a 2x2 ribbed polo with long sleeves and not as cropped as this one is, because as you can see, I think it's pretty cropped. It kind of flares out because I pulled it down into my shorts when I wore it. I'll try to insert some photos of my Eras Tour outfit based on things Taylor Swift wore on her Midnight's album photo shoot, which is 70s vibes, and I picked the BIRKIN Polo pattern to modify with another 4x4 stitch, 4-stitch repeat, which is 3 garter stitches and 1 slip stitch I chose to do, which resembles a blue polo that Taylor wore, a short-sleeved polo. In that photo shoot, she wore it with long corduroy, kind of ochre brown, more this color, trousers. And I bought a skirt in that color, and I think it is more than perfect. I absolutely love how this turned out. My gauge was a bit off, so I knit a size medium. So the BIRKIN Polo is knit on 3mm needles, or calls for 3mm needles, which is what I used. It calls for a fingering weight, and it has 6 sizes. The gauge for the BIRKIN Polo is 30 stitches and 38 rows, which I just about hit with my different stitch pattern. It is a drop shoulder polo pattern with a double knitted collar, as you can see, and the size guide, it says it has 5 to 10 centimeters or 2 to 4 inches of positive ease recommended, and the sizes fit a circumference ranging from 72 to 109 centimeters or 28.3 to 43 inches, which is not necessarily within the size inclusivity standard, but it's kind of up there. And yeah, it calls for, my size, it calls for 600 grams of the fingering weight yarn, which she recommends, which is the Gepard Cottonwool 3. I bought, I think, 100 grams less because I was going to knit it cropped and not knit sleeves. And I lost yarn chicken, so if you plan on also modifying the polo, I would recommend maybe buying 1 less ball than recommended. So that's what happened there. My modifications also include the edges. I just knit a folded stockinette edge, a very thin one, as you can see here, hopefully. I don't have much more to say about it, except for the yarn. I mean, I think this is very, for my first heavily modded pattern, I think this turned out amazingly, but I would have used a different yarn to wear this on an everyday basis or to a concert, especially a 3.5 hour long concert as a sweaty girl, because the armpit completely felted. It's like you can hardly see the stitch definition anymore. It's a very thick, not very stretchy anymore fabric in the armpit, just from 3.5 hours of, or longer, because we also had the Paramore set, which was the opener set. So yeah, I thought this was going to be a summer appropriate yarn and okay to wear to a concert because it is 50% cotton, 50% wool. I had used the Knitting for Olive cotton merino before, which is also a cotton and merino, not wool blend. And that behaved very cotton-like. It was very much cotton with like a hint of merino functioning. So I thought this one would be like a little bit closer to the wool spectrum. I didn't expect it to behave as much as a wool as it did when knitting with it and when wearing it. While knitting up the garment and when the garment was just finished and when I was blocking it, the fact that it behaved as a wool was just amazing, because look at how well this fits and is probably going to, well, always fit every time I like wash it or reblock it for a not super stretchy rib negative ease summer garment. That is just brilliant. But well, the wool does felt, and it's quite hot, like it's 25 degrees Celsius here today and I'm sweating a little bit. I hope it doesn't felt even more. Yeah, but that's the Birkin Polo. I wish I wouldn't have lost yarn chicken because I would have knitted the sleeves a bit longer, maybe like down to here, like they fit Taylor in her polo. I'll see how this wears. I might just add some length and buy another ball of yarn, or just re-knit this in a different color because I really like the way it turned out. And I especially like the modified stitch pattern. It was a slog to knit though, because I mean garter stitch, as soon as you join in the round, it's just a crazy amount of purling that you've got to do, but that's fine. Oh yeah, I did decrease a lot more on the side here, which I think you should be able to see. And yeah, that's that on the Birkin Polo. If anyone has any questions or you want more information on my modifications, those can be found on my Ravelry. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Oh no, I shared something, I think, about the stitch count, or I think someone commented or someone DM'd me or replied to my Ravelry project, but I said I made stitch count modifications, but I wasn't entirely sure whether I made modifications or whether something was just off with picking up stitches. Oh no, it was for the, see, this is what happens when I don't film soon enough. I start to forget things. This is bad. I need to do better. No, it was with the picking up for the collar. It's quite cinched in, and I feel like I had way less, I did modify the stitch counts for the shoulders and the panels, the front and the back panel, but here I picked up just according to pattern, and I ended up having way less stitches in the back of my polo, and it kind of bunched up a little, and as you can see, like as you hopefully could see, it's not ill-fitting, but it's also not fitting very well. And I think someone DM'd me with the same problem, that she didn't end up having the same amount of stitches, so something might be up with the pattern there. Keep that in mind. Maybe pick up a few more stitches. If you think you haven't picked enough stitches for the collar in the back, you probably haven't. I'll probably also wait to cast on another one of these because the collar was just, I keep saying I'm done talking about this, but I never am. But the collar was just the worst to knit. It was such a slog. It had short rows with these tons and tons of double knitting, 10 centimeters of double knitting or something. And someone, after I'd finished the collar, of course, DM'd me that she saw or heard, or she did it herself. Someone had said to knit it in stockinette the second you finish your short rows, which sounded just brilliant and might actually work really well. I don't have perfect edge gauge in double knitting, and I probably won't either if I try this in stockinette, but if you're a really neat knitter, you don't tend to have tension issues with these things, I would definitely recommend knitting the collar in just stockinette in the round rather than double knitting. Yeah, that's it for my first finished object. My second finished object is one of the first things I talked about in my summer knitting plans video, and one of my favorite knits to date. It's also very blue. This is my blouse number 1. She's gorgeous. I've worn her a few times already, and she just keeps getting like more drapey and more soft. Just look at that drape. It's amazing. I love this so much. This is a pattern by My Favorite Things Knitwear. Instead of just holding her up like this and hoping you can see her, I'll insert some footage of me wearing it and just show the stitches up close. What I really want to note though is that my yarn choice was absolutely brilliant, because look at how these edges, just stockinette plain cast off edges, do not fold, and how neat the boat neck is. So she recommends you to cast on because it doesn't have any finishings, as you see. I'm feeling like this is going to be a bit of a chaotic podcast, but that's why I called it Candid Knit. This is candid stuff. So as you can see, it's like nice and tight. The pattern recommends you to cast on for the neckline with a smaller needle, a much smaller needle, and I'm very glad I did that. It worked out perfectly. I knit it quite cropped, like just down to where my waistband of most of my bottoms starts, and I have nothing but positive things to say about this garment. So I was a bit worried about the boat neck, but it fits perfectly if you knit it nice and tight, because I'm not the biggest fan of a boat neck, and it looks really nice on me. If I reknit this, I might add more short rows in the back, because as you can see, the back does have some short rows. And that's all I would do differently, I think. So the sleeve is knitted by first doing rapid increases and then by doing contiguous knitting. So you first increase for the body clearly, and then you only increase for the sleeves, and then at the end, at the bottom of the sleeve, you do like a little short little raglan situation, and then you cast on just a few stitches for the underarm, and then you do some decreases on the sleeve and one increase in the end to make it flare out a little bit more. I saw Venetia from the Woolly Worker podcast talking about how if she were to knit this again, she would add more increases to the sleeves, and that's something I've been for sure playing with, because I really want to knit this again in like a bit of a more vibrant but still dusty pinkish tone. I think that would be lovely. But yeah, so I was playing with that idea, and then I went out to dinner, and I had to like keep pushing up my sleeves because it was like a food sharing situation, and I'm not sure if it would be practical to have more trumpety sleeves, but I'm very sure it would be beautiful. The yarn I used is not the recommended yarn. The pattern recommends you use Knitting for Olive Pure Silk held double, which is a light fingering, and according to the Ravelry page, it's like light fingering plus light fingering makes Aran. And I'm not sure 2 light fingering weights make an Aran. I feel like it's a light DK when I knit that up, and I wasn't the only one with that problem. But I did not go for a thicker yarn. I didn't really realize that was going to be a problem when I bought my yarn. So I bought a very, very similar light fingering, a bit less light, but still light fingering yarn from Sandnesgarn. I bought 6 balls of Sandnesgarn tynn in the color Hortensia Blue, which is, well, just stunning. Tynn, as you can see, both knitted up and like this, is a stunning color. I only needed 5 balls. I have like 47 grams of this stuff left, which will make for maybe like a nice cropped striped little top, nice cropped little top, or maybe a striped little top sometime in the near future. If I ever use tynn again, I'll just buy 1 extra ball in a color that fits with this. But just it's so soft, it works up beautifully. It's a cotton viscose linen blend. I think it only has like not much more than 10 or 12% of linen in the blend, but it does feel very linen-y, but like soft linen, as if the linen has been like washed 10 times before, which I just absolutely love. And it also didn't knit up like a cotton yarn because I don't enjoy working with cotton yarns. But yeah, strong recommend for this. I think I might knit a second one of these in the regular linne, which is I think there's three weights of the linne. There's tynn linne, which is thin linen, linne, and then thick linne, which is the thicker linen. Well, linen blend, because it doesn't contain that much linen. Yeah, so I'm curious to see what happens if I use the linne, which can be held single to reach gauge for this garment. But the gauge you should reach with like the two light fingerings held together on a 5mm needle should be like 19 stitches, which of course I didn't really reach, and many people haven't, which I gathered from the responses to my story on Instagram when I talked about this. And I'm not the only one who ended up using 4mm needles to knit up this garment, but you know, I don't mind. I was excited to have a bit more of a bigger needle DK gauge type knit, but 4mm is still significantly larger than like the 3mm or 2.5mm needles that you usually use for like fingering weight summer garments, which I love, and I love this one just as much as I love my fingering weight summer garments. So absolutely raving about this. It also fits so nicely even before blocking and didn't really roll too much before blocking either. So yeah, the sandnesgarn line, line, the line of line garn is, well, amazing for like this trend of knitting garments with like not unfinished edges. Well, I mean, this doesn't look unfinished, does it? But yeah, I mean, there's no like I-cord edging or double knitted edging, whatever, or ribbing. Yeah, so that line of yarn works perfectly for that. Now I have another finished object, but it's not a fully finished object because I'm about to knit a second one. Well, knit, what am I saying? I meant crochet. So yeah, I was inspired by Amy from Knee Knits on YouTube and Instagram, who crocheted this ASTRID pillow with hand-dyed yarn and a white worsted yarn to tie it all together. And I was absolutely obsessed with it, so I wanted to knit one myself. But like mini skeins, so it calls for 10 different colored mini skeins, and mini skeins are expensive, so it didn't really fit in my budget for my knitting this summer, and I had just let go of the idea completely until I was buying my yarn for my blouse #1, and I came across these sets from holstgarn. They have these shade packs with like 5 times 10 grams in these shades, in these 5 shades that are very close to one another. It's like a gradient. And they had different colors. They had like pinks, blues, but I fell in love with the combination of the purples and the greens. And I bought 4 of those packs because then I would have basically the same as 10 20-gram mini skeins, because I would just have 20 10-gram mini skeins in 10 colors, but I ended up not using that much. So this is the holstgarn Supersoft, and I held it with a drops lima, but that's a whole different story. Wow, there's so much to talk about with this pillow. I love it so much, so I'm just going to quickly decide where I'm going to start. I'm going to start with the yarn. So the shade packs, I'll just show you what I have left, because I have quite a lot left, which is great. Now I'm going to talk about the pillow first, because the fact that I have so much left is great, because it was very hard to find. I think it was 14 by 14 inch, at least I think 35 by 35 centimeter pillows. It's really not big, it's very small. I feel like whenever I've seen people knit this, crochet this pillow, it looks quite big, but it's pretty tiny. It's not too huge, and this is not a standard pillow size in Europe. So I was lucky to find like a package of 2 of these little pillows on Amazon. So lucky thing that I could only find these pillows in sets of 2, and that I had enough yarn left over of the holstgarn Supersoft to crochet a second. So this is like a 50% finished object, because I started knitting granny squares for my second already, but this one's finished. And then I bought some drops lima to go with it. But at first I had bought like an undyed yellowy, well, normally white, undyed natural yarn in a worsted weight. It was super duper cheap. It's lankava naturelli supiva wool. It's just a 100% undyed, I think untreated wool, and I mean it was way too yellow for me for like to hold it with this purple and green yarn, and it wouldn't have looked that cute with our couch or the rest of our interior, I think. So I went out and got some very light gray, slightly heathered drops lima instead, enough for two pillows immediately, of course. And I feel like it matches the heathered look of the holstgarn beautifully. Please don't mind all of the cat hair you can see stuck in there. That's just what happens when you're a cat mom in summer. But yeah, so the way this is, no, I'm gonna continue talking about the yarn before I talk about how it's crocheted up. So, my little shade pack. So this is the one granny square I've knitted and I've crocheted for my second pillow. So the colors. I'm just gonna, so I'll start with the purple. This is the gorgeous little set of purple colors. This is the set of green colors. Ta-da! And the color names are, this is Prussian. This one is called Devine. This one is called Thistledown. This one is Hyacinth. And this one is Princess. You can see some I have more left over of than others. It's because not each color appears as many times in the pattern, or they may have given me more yarn than I thought. I didn't weigh it beforehand. I just thought they gave me 10 grams, 10 gram little cakes of everything. But yeah, this is cloudberry. This is marlin, robin's egg, topaz, and chiffon. I really, really like the chiffon color. I do feel like the chiffon got a bit more blue after blocking, so the yarn does seem to bleed a bit. So the way this is crocheted is the colored yarns are held double to get like a DK weight, and then everything is knitted together with a worsted weight. I know drops lima is usually categorized as a DK weight, but it hit the 50 grams, 100 meters need. I think the yarn called for is like 50 grams, 90 meters, so it's a bit thinner, but I think it looks really cute and really pretty. And so what you do is you just put all of these things together into one big square, and then you fold them over and connect over here. And what I did to make sure it looked really pretty, because the pattern comes with like an explanation on how to make sure your granny squares look nice together, but also like a chart or like a graph which tells you with which color to knit each granny square to make it look good. And I know Knits had talked about like some issues with this and some colors touching, so I decided to make like a little drawing of what my pillow would look like. I posted this to Ravelry, so I'll just show you what it looks like on my Ravelry. But so this is my little drawing where I drew what the pillow would look like with all of the colors, and then where the little problem areas are and which ones I switched up. And then I had like a little pre-drawing of what my first pillow would look like. So this is the drawing of the first pillow, and then a little pre-drawing of like the colors are obviously approximated, but like this is what my second pillow is going to look like. And I really advise you do this because it was so much nicer than having to go back to see like, oh, I need D, E, and I. Yeah, because you assign letters to each color, as you can see. So it was like, oh, I need D, E, and I for this, and then you have to go and reference back, or at least remember which letter was assigned to which color. And I didn't have to do that because I could just look at my little picture and I knew where I was at. So that's really cool. And then this is what it looks like now. And I'm just gonna put it on my couch as a cute little background piece. It'll probably sit like right in front of it, won't it? Yeah, so I'm just crocheting another one of those. It's crocheted with 5mm, a 5mm crochet hook. I think I said that. It's just super engaging because you get to crochet a different granny square every single time with a different color combination. Like never is any color combination exactly repeated. And even the crocheting everything together is fun because you just keep adding just another one and just another one until it's finished. So it was a very quick crochet. It's a bit hot outside now, so I was crocheting this in like super gloomy, rainy weather when I didn't feel like picking up my summer knits because I didn't feel like I was going to be able to wear them really. But now it's quite hot outside, so I don't feel like crocheting on this immediately, but the twin for the pillow will be finished. I think somewhere in the fall, when it starts getting gloomy again, I can see myself picking it up, or picking it back up at least. Now, I have, I think, 3 more whips for you. No, I have 4 more whips for you. Oh god, I seem to have like this crazy cast on energy, which is nice because I'm getting inspired. But also I've been continuing to knit on my MELIDES dress by Vertknit, Ines Oliveira, who is a Portuguese designer. The pure silk does crinkle quite a bit, so I'm sorry if it looks kind of off or you can't really see what it's supposed to look like. This is supposed to be an entirely made-to-measure dress with a V-neck on one side and little buttons connecting everything, and then an O-neck or squarish O-neck on the other. All of the edges are going to be finished with I-cords. There's these beautiful darts and like a little line with linen stitch for the waistline, which ensure you can get to the perfectly fitted situation they're going for. So there's 4 darts along each, well, front and back. This is something I cast on like last summer, and I just feel is going to be like a forever whip because it's a fingering weight knit on 3mm needles. The Knitting for All of Pure Silk is 100% ethically sourced or made silk yarn, and it's 250 meters per 50 grams, which is just, yeah, very light fingering weight, as all Knitting for Olive yarns are. It's very drapey. It's going to be beautiful, but I'm not like rushing myself to finish this dress because it's just such a huge amount of work and such a labor of love. I think I finished the top section last summer, and then I picked back up somewhere over here and managed to knit down the upper hip and the lower hip, and now I'm just going strong on the skirt. It's going to be like a midi length dress, so I anticipate this taking me a lot more time, and I don't know when I'm going to finish it and whether it's going to be this summer, but you know, that doesn't matter. This is just like one of those long-term projects that I sometimes really enjoy having, and once it's going to be finished, I'm going to love it so much. Yeah, so people have been thinking I was testing this because the pattern has been in testing again to fit larger bust and hip circumference or just larger bodies, and I think because it's getting a bit of a makeover. But yeah, I'm not in the testing pool. I cast this on with the first version of the pattern that I bought last summer, and I've just been steadily knitting on it since. This is the Dusty Artichoke colorway, and I'm very happy with my choice of colors, and I think I'm going to finish it off with like the tiniest little shiny mother of pearl buttons as the pattern suggests, because that's going to look lovely with the, ooh, look at that, with the dusty artichoke colorway. Yeah, I think I'm going to take this with me on holiday to France to just mindlessly knit on by the pool, and well, if it doesn't get too hot, being on my lap. And yeah, that's it for my long-term knitted fingering weight dress. Someday I'll finish it. Someday. Now, some things I cast on. I finally cast on a cotton pair of socks for my vegan father-in-law. Actually forgot to mention this, but I got this yarn in New York as well at Knitty City. I just completely forgot about it because they wound it up into a cake there. I was going to start knitting on something there, but the cotton yarn was just very, I don't know, loose, and I couldn't find a proper gauge with it, so I decided to hold it double to knit Sunday socks now, which, I mean, my father-in-law isn't going to be able to wear anytime soon, but this is a petite knit pattern. I'm not knitting a folded edge, I'm just knitting them a bit short because I'm not sure I'm going to have enough yarn. I'm not entirely sure which yarn this is anymore, but it might be just a Lion brand cotton sock yarn. So it does have like a 20 or 25% nylon blended into it. It's incredibly soft. It feels really good. I think it's the denim blue colorway. I wish you could feel this. It feels amazing. I'm knitting a size smaller because it is cotton. It's going to stretch than his foot calls for. But yeah, see how much this stretches. But it does cinch in sufficiently, I think, for the sock to fit. And he'll be able to put it in the wash, so I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, given how badly my last cotton sock experiment went, I'm actually feeling very hopeful for this one. It's just my little project for on the go, and I'm enjoying it. I hope he'll have socks by the fall to wear when it gets cold. Next up, I talked about this yarn when I had ordered it, but I hadn't showed it to you in real life yet. The balls are a bit flimsy, but this is the gorgeous Camarose Live Toned Fenicle, which is a fennel, I think. It's the 410 colorway of a 100% chainette linen. I hope you can see that. It's like very similar to the Dusty Artichoke. Let me show you. If not almost exactly the same. It's a bit warmer, but that's it. It's a DK weight, 100% linen, and it is what is called for in the top sole pattern by Mochi Knits, which I have, of course, cast on already, and is knitting up very quickly. I finished the back panel, I finished the right front already, and now I've just started knitting on the left front. I love how you're like virtually unable to see where you picked up stitches. This linen yarn just knits up beautifully. I absolutely adore it. It does look like it's very rough on the hands. It feels like a towel, like an old towel that hasn't been washed with any kind of like fabric softener in 20 years. That's how it feels. But I think after it's going to be like blocked, I think I'm going to have to block it in the washing machine though, because I blocked a little, I can't find it, I don't know where it is, but I blocked a little gauge swatch, and it's still very rough even though I blocked it with like very, very hot water. So I might just put this in the laundry machine when I block it. But its drape already looks amazing. It's going to feel nice on my skin, I think, even though like when I hold it like this, it feels very light and airy and not scratchy at all. So I'm very excited about this, which is good because it wasn't inexpensive. I think I might be losing yarn chicken though, because I bought 4 balls of yarn thinking I was going to need to knit a size small, but the size small is not what fits my measurements. I think it's the size medium, and I didn't check that out beforehand, but turns out my gauge is off, so I need to knit the size small anyway, It's knit on 3.5mm needles. Let me just get the specs for you. It's a pattern by Mochi Knits, the sole top or the top sole. It's, well, knit with a DK weight. The gauge you should get is 26 stitches and 40 rows. I think I have about 24 or 23 stitches. And it's knit on 3.5mm needles. The problem with this one is that it's not very size inclusive. The sizes only range from an extra small to an extra large, which is why I found it extra strange that I was supposed to wear a medium, because I usually never fall into the medium size range. But so the bust circumference it's supposed to have in the finished garment is falls between 88 and 108 centimeters, which is just not inclusive whatsoever, especially since it's designed to have like 6 centimeters or 2.5 inches of positive ease. For reference, the 88 to 108 centimeters is 34.75 to 42.5 inches. But if you do like this pattern and you feel like knitting a little vest, Mochi Knits has another pattern that looks a lot like it but is a fingering weight, and that one is more size inclusive. I actually messaged this designer on Ravelry last year, but I talked more about this in my summer knitting plans video if you need more information about whether they were going to make their patterns more size inclusive, and they seem to have done it for the newer patterns but not for the older ones. Yeah, bit sad. But so the way this is designed is it's a vest, and the finishings are done while you're knitting on it, so you have like this beautiful garter ribby edge, which is very fun to knit and looks super neat. Yeah, it's gonna be finished so quickly. And then what I really like about the way the V-neck is knit is that the first 2 stitches are slipped every 2 rows, so the first 2 stitches are slip stitches, and it rolls in a tiny bit but not too much, and just enough to make this edge look amazingly neat. Yeah, I'm very excited to see how this ends up. It's going to have a very deep armhole, which I'm not sure if that's going to be very bra friendly, but with the open part of the vest in front and just the 2 little ties, I'm anticipating I'm going to have to wear a little nude-ish colored top underneath this anyway. But so I bought 1 ball of yarn too little, so I might lose yarn chicken and not end up having enough, but we'll see with that. I have a very short torso, so it should be fine. And if it's not, I can buy another ball. It'll be fine. We'll be fine. Yeah, that's my top sole. It's not really looking like too much right now, but I hope you can see the vision. It is quite oversized if you look at it like that. I think it's going to be nice to have an oversized, probably very cropped little vest. Quick note, I did talk about the lack of size inclusivity on this pattern in my last video, but not on the Ilana camisole. One commenter kindly pointed that out to me. That is because I had to cut out an entire 5 minutes where I was ranting about the Ilana camisole because the sizes only range from an extra small to a large, which I found strange. I had to cut that out because just when I was about to post my video, the designer for that camisole actually messaged me or replied to me on Ravelry and explained, because I messaged them to ask, hey, what's this about? This is weird. Didn't phrase it like that, obviously, but that was kind of the message. They said that the pattern has gotten more interest and gained popularity over the last few months, but when it just came out, it wasn't reaching as many people. So when they called for testers, they couldn't find anyone to test above a size large, and since the pattern is one PDF, or this is what I'm adding to it because I bought the pattern, and every size has its own PDF, so I'm assuming that's why it wasn't published, because they didn't feel comfortable publishing or selling an untested pattern. But currently I think they are testing the larger sizes, so if you're interested in testing that pattern, yeah, I think there might still be sizes available for testing, and it's really cool that they did want to be size inclusive, and I'm very happy that I didn't just go about and shame them for nothing, really, because it's not their fault if they're a small designer and they can't find enough testers. So yeah, makes you think about responses to things sometimes. Alright, my last work in progress that I've got for you is a bit of an interesting one. This is one of the projects that, oh wait, it's still on a little thread from when I was trying this on, or barber cord from when I was trying this on. This is a bit of an interesting one, and one that most people were excited to see me knit after I was talking about my summer knitting plans. It's the 9 p.m. tank by Tiff Knit. I finished the top part of the tank top, all of the double knitting. I wove in the thousands of little ends that I had to weave in, and it's looking like a top for a child. But I did try it on, and it feels really stretchy. I'm knitting it with Malabrigo sock, which is a 100% superwash that I got in the US, and it's knitting up, well, beautifully. I hit gauge with 3mm needles, and I've been, well, steadily knitting on it, except for it's a made-to-measure pattern, which is why many people were interested to see me knit it. But it doesn't feel like it's fitting me perfectly, and I'm starting to think I did something wrong when I was taking my measurements, because I just finished the short row section on the front for the bust, and my line of short rows seems to come much deeper than it does on anyone else's finished object pictures who did or seem to do short rows. I chose to do German short rows instead of wrap and turns because I think it looks prettier, or I find it looks prettier, but I don't think that much of a weird look can just be because of that or attributed to that. So I have no idea what went wrong there. I have a little video of me trying on the garment as it is right now because I just tried it on a bit earlier. I've already started the decreases on the side for the waist, but I'm feeling like I might just have to go and frog back entirely and just skip the short rows, because this front now comes very, very deep compared to the back, and this comes very, very deep into the front, and the whole, like, this bunches up a lot. The whole garment is just looking off to me. I might just give it just put it onto like a full-on cord and fit it again, and steam it once to see what that does. But yeah, I was feeling very excited about this until I knit, well, first of all, the double-edged front. I picked up 3 out of 4 stitches as is recommended, but this is what it's looking like. Very bunched up, very just tiny. And if I pull it like this, I mean, I can get it to fit, but it doesn't look exactly as I expected it to. So I'm not entirely obsessed with this in the way I thought I was going to be. Also, the increases look a bit odd. I think the designer used like make one left where I would have used make one right and the other way around. I don't know if it's a pattern mistake or if I read something incorrectly, but I don't feel like the increases look as neat as they could have. And it's a pity because everyone is raving about this pattern on Ravelry and on Instagram, so I'm kind of assuming I did something wrong, but I don't know what it is that I did wrong. It looks a lot better when I try it on though, so I might just frog it down to here, block it, and then it might look really nice. But for now, yeah, just look at this. It's feeling a bit iffy. If anyone has experience with this pattern or any idea of what I did wrong, please let me know in the comments. Yeah, I'm not going to talk much more about this because it makes me sad. But what I am going to talk about is this beautiful little cake that I made because I finally got a yarn winder. It was on sale. This is the Knit Pro wool winder. On the picture, it was like a lilac wool winder. So I was like, a lilac wool winder on sale? Sign me up. But I ended up getting just a blue one, which, I don't know, it's kind of sad, but it's still a very pretty one. This keeps coming loose, but I think I'll make like my own little label for it. And it's a very good one. I strongly recommend it over like the cheaper ones I've used from a friend, or I think one of my friends has like a cheaper one, and this one winds up a lot better in my experience. I'm glad I waited to splurge on a more expensive one, like once it was on sale. But yeah, that's nice because I bought so many hanks of yarn in the US, and also my next acquisition is hanks, so I'm gonna need that. My friend Yasmin got a Swift, which is great because I'm gonna borrow that every once in a while. And otherwise I asked my partner to be my Swift, but he wasn't very adept at that, so he's been winding and I've been playing Swift. But I'm gonna need to for this yarn as well. I got 3 beautiful skeins of this hand-dyed suri from Through the Wardrobe Yarn Company. This is from her, she's a Norwegian hand dyer, and this is from her Bridgerton collection. This is Diamond of the First Water, and it has like a beautiful, ethereal, glowy blue, purple, and pink shine going on, and I thought this colorway would be just stunning in a blouse number 1 light or a cumulus blouse type situation. These are my 3 little skeins. I bought 3 little hanks. I bought 3 just in case. Oh, you see the color very well here. I bought 3 just in case I wouldn't be able to hold the suri single for a blouse, but turns out I will be able to hold it single for a blouse. I'm gonna use the blouse number 1 pattern that I already have, not the blouse number 1 light pattern, and knit it on 4mm needles as well, because I'm gonna get this lovely, lovely fabric, and it's gonna be just scrumptious. So excited for this. It's so soft. The yarn has 74% brushed baby suri alpaca and 26% silk, and I could not be more excited about this. But the second I found out that I would have probably enough for a blouse number 1 with 2 of these hanks, I bought 2 little skeins of Drops Flora in the color White Fog, because then I could use this held with another one of these guys if I have any left over, which I probably will, and knit up a vest number 2. I might have gotten a little bit excited there, but it was on sale and I was ordering the Drops Lima and the wool winder anyway, so I just got these 2 skeins as well. And if it doesn't work out to be holding it with this, I'll just end up knitting something else with this, some other maybe I can like use all of my leftover mohairs and make like a mohair gradient in a vest, because the Drops Flora in White Fog looks just like, it's this marzipan-y off-white grayish beige that probably looks good with any of the colors that I buy, because I mean it looks nice with this because it's very like, it looks nice and pinkish next to this. It looks nice with this. It looks nice with the green. I think it's gonna match like all of the little mohairs that I have, and that's my plan for these guys. Wow, I think I actually managed to go through this pretty efficiently. If you have any questions or any comments or things you'd like to share, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to share what you are making at this time or what you're planning on knitting in the rest of the summer, please let me know in the comments below as well. I always love to hear what you guys are working on. And thanks again for all the support. That's it for today. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. I'll see you again very soon, I promise. And happy knitting. Bye bye.